Hello, my friends. Welcome back to Storytime English. I am so glad you are here with me today. Take a deep breath. Let your shoulders relax, and let this story carry you gently through time. Now, imagine for a moment that you are standing in the middle of a vast, golden desert. The sand stretches in every direction, as far as your eyes can see. The sun is beginning to set, and the sky is turning orange and pink. The air is warm and still. And then you look up, and you see something that should not exist. Three enormous shapes rise from the desert floor. They are not mountains, though they are as tall as mountains. They are not natural, though they look as old as the earth itself. They are perfect triangles of stone, standing in a perfect line, glowing gold in the fading light. Each one is made from millions of blocks of rock, stacked so precisely that after 4,500 years, they are still standing, still perfect, still silent. These are the pyramids of Giza. They are the oldest of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, and they are the only ones still standing. Stay with me, my friend. This is their story. To understand why the pyramids were built, you must first understand what the ancient Egyptians believed about death. The Egyptians did not see death as the end. They saw it as a doorway. When a person died, they believed the soul left the body and traveled to another world, a world of gods and light and eternal life. But the soul could only make this journey if the body was preserved. If the body was destroyed, the soul would be lost forever. This is why the Egyptians developed the art of mummification. They carefully preserved the bodies of the dead. They wrapped them in layers of linen. They placed them in decorated coffins. And they buried them with everything they might need in the afterlife: food, clothing, jewelry, tools, even small wooden boats, so the soul could sail through the waters of the next world. For ordinary people, a simple grave in the sand was enough. But for a pharaoh, the king of all Egypt, something much grander was required. The pharaoh was not just a ruler. He was believed to be a living god. He was the connection between the human world and the world of the gods. When he died, he would join the sun god Ra on his journey across the sky. His burial place had to be worthy of a god. It had to last forever. It had to be so strong, so permanent, that nothing could ever destroy it. Not time, not war, not the desert itself. And the shape they chose was a pyramid. Why a pyramid? Some scholars believe the shape represented the rays of the sun spreading down from the sky to the earth. Others believe it represented the first mound of land that rose from the waters at the beginning of the world, according to Egyptian mythology. Whatever the reason, the pyramid became the most powerful symbol of ancient Egypt, a shape that said, "This will last forever." And so the Egyptians began to build. The first pyramid ever built was not at Giza. It was at a place called Saqqara, about 25 kilometers to the south. Around the year 2670 before Christ, a brilliant architect named Imhotep designed a new kind of tomb for the pharaoh Djoser. Instead of the flat rectangular tombs that had come before, Imhotep stacked 6 flat layers on top of each other, each one smaller than the one below. The result was a step pyramid. It rose into the sky like a giant staircase. People said it was a stairway for the pharaoh's soul to climb up to the heavens. It was the tallest building in the world at that time, and it changed everything. Over the next century, Egyptian builders experimented. They tried different shapes, different angles. Some pyramids were too steep and cracked under their own weight. One famous pyramid, called the Bent Pyramid, changed angle halfway up because the builders realized the original angle was too dangerous. They were learning. They were solving problems. They were getting closer to perfection. And then, around the year 2560 before Christ, a pharaoh named Khufu ordered the construction of the greatest pyramid the world had ever seen. It would be built on a rocky plateau called Giza, just outside the ancient capital city of Memphis, near where the city of Cairo stands today. What Khufu's workers built is almost impossible to believe. The Great Pyramid of Khufu is 146 meters tall. For nearly 4,000 years, it was the tallest structure on Earth. Nothing built by human hands was taller until the great cathedrals of Europe were constructed in the Middle Ages. Think about that. For almost 4,000 years. No palace, no castle, no tower, no temple anywhere in the world was taller than this pyramid. It is made of approximately 2.3 million blocks of stone. Each block weighs about 2.5 tons on average. Some of the largest blocks, deep inside the pyramid, weigh more than 80 tons. That is heavier than a modern locomotive. And every single block was cut from rock, transported to the site, lifted into place, and fitted so precisely that you cannot slide a piece of paper between them. The base of the pyramid is almost perfectly square. Each side is 230 meters long. The difference between the longest side and the shortest side is less than 5 centimeters. On a building that covers an area larger than 10 football fields, the error is smaller than the length of your finger. The 4 sides are aligned almost perfectly to the 4 points of the compass. North, south, east, and west. How the ancient Egyptians achieved this level of precision with no modern tools remains one of the great questions of history. But how did they actually build it? This is the question that has fascinated people for thousands of years. For a long time, many people believed that the pyramids were built by slaves. This idea became very popular because of movies and old history books. But modern archaeology tells a different story. In the 1990s, archaeologists discovered a workers' village near the pyramids. They found the remains of bakeries, breweries, and hospitals. They found evidence that the workers ate beef and bread and drank beer. They found well-organized sleeping quarters. These were not the conditions of slaves. These were the conditions of skilled, organized workers. Historians now believe that the pyramids were built by a workforce of about 20,000 to 30,000 men. Some were full-time builders who worked year-round. Others were farmers who came to work during the flood season, when the Nile River covered their fields and farming was impossible. They worked in teams. Each team had a name, like a sports team today. They competed with each other to move the most stones. Some teams carved their names into the blocks. We have found these names. One team called themselves the Friends of Khufu. Another called themselves the Drunkards of Menkaure. The workers cut the limestone blocks from quarries nearby. They used copper tools and wooden wedges. They hammered the wedges into narrow cuts in the rock, then poured water over the wood. The wet wood swelled and expanded, and the pressure cracked the stone apart. They placed the heavy blocks on wooden sledges, flat platforms like sleds, and dragged them across the sand. Recent experiments have shown that wetting the sand in front of the sledge reduced friction by half. A team of men pulling a sledge over wet sand could move a 2-ton block quite efficiently. To lift the blocks into place as the pyramid grew taller, they almost certainly used ramps. But what kind of ramps? Straight ramps? Spiral ramps that wound around the outside of the pyramid? Internal ramps hidden inside the structure itself? Scholars have debated this for decades. The truth is, we are still not entirely sure. The Egyptians left no written instructions, no blueprints, no diagrams. They built one of the greatest structures in human history, and they did not leave a single document explaining how they did it. The construction took about 20 years. 20 years of cutting, dragging, lifting, and placing. 20 years of thousands of men working under the hot Egyptian sun. If you do the mathematics, it means the workers had to place roughly 1 block every few minutes during working hours, every single day, for 20 years. The organization required to achieve this was extraordinary. Someone had to manage the quarries. Someone had to manage the water supply. Someone had to feed 30,000 workers 3 meals a day. The pyramid was not just a monument. It was one of the largest and most complex projects in human history. And the outside was only half the story. Inside the Great Pyramid, hidden passages lead deep into the heart of the stone. The most important room is called the King's Chamber. To reach it, you must climb a long, steep passage called the Grand Gallery. The ceiling of this gallery is nearly 9 meters high, and the walls lean inward as they rise. It feels like walking into the center of a mountain. Inside the King's Chamber, there is a large stone box called a sarcophagus. This is where the pharaoh's mummified body was placed. The walls are smooth red granite, brought from quarries more than 800 kilometers to the south. No paintings, no decorations, just stone and silence. Above the chamber, 5 separate layers of granite beams are stacked on top of each other. Their purpose is to spread the enormous weight of the pyramid so that the ceiling of the King's Chamber does not collapse. It is held for 4,500 years. It is still holding today. And when the Great Pyramid was finished, the outside was just as remarkable as the inside. The entire structure was covered in a smooth outer layer of white limestone that gleamed in the sunlight. From a distance, it must have looked like a mountain of pure light rising from the desert. At the very top, there was a capstone, possibly covered in gold or electrum, a mixture of gold and silver. When the morning sun hit the golden tip, it would have shone like a star. Almost all of that white outer casing has been stripped away over the centuries. People took the smooth stones to build mosques, palaces, and bridges in Cairo. What we see today is the rough inner core. But even without its shining surface, the Great Pyramid is breathtaking. Khufu's pyramid was not alone. His son Khafre built the second pyramid at Giza. It is slightly shorter than his father's, but it sits on higher ground, so it actually looks taller when you stand before it. Khafre's pyramid still has some of its white limestone casing near the top. When you see it, you can imagine what the whole pyramid once looked like. And beside Khafre's pyramid sits one of the most famous statues in the world, the Great Sphinx. It has the body of a lion and the face of a man, probably the face of Khafre himself. It is 73 meters long and 20 meters tall. It was carved from a single piece of natural rock that was already sticking out of the desert floor. The builders saw the rock and imagined a lion, and they carved it into existence. The Sphinx faces east, toward the rising sun. It has been sitting in exactly the same position for more than 4,500 years. It has watched empires rise and fall. It has watched armies march past. It has been buried up to its neck in sand more than once. And each time, someone dug it out again. Over the centuries, wind and sand have worn away parts of its face. Its nose is missing. Nobody knows for certain what happened to it. Some people say Napoleon's soldiers shot it off with a cannon. But drawings from before Napoleon's time show the nose was already gone. The truth is lost in time, like so many things about ancient Egypt. The third and smallest pyramid belongs to Menkaure, Khafre's son. It is only 65 meters tall, but even the smallest of the three would be an astonishing achievement by any standard. Together, the 3 pyramids and the Sphinx form one of the most recognizable images on Earth. They have been stared at, painted, photographed, and wondered about for thousands of years. The ancient Greeks, who visited Egypt centuries after the pyramids were built, were already amazed. They included the Great Pyramid in their list of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. Of those 7 wonders, the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, the statue of Zeus, the Temple of Artemis, the Colossus of Rhodes, the Lighthouse of Alexandria, and the Mausoleum at Halicarnassus. Every single one has been destroyed. only the pyramids remain. They have survived earthquakes, they have survived wars, they have survived the rise and fall of the Roman Empire, the Arab conquests, the Crusades, Napoleon's invasion, and 2 world wars. They have watched civilizations come and go while they stood still, silent and patient under the desert sun. When Napoleon arrived in Egypt in 1798, he stood before the pyramids with his army. He is said to have told his soldiers, "From the heights of these pyramids, 40 centuries look down upon you." Whether he actually said those words or not, the feeling was real. Standing before the pyramids, you feel the weight of time. You feel how small you are, and you feel how extraordinary human beings can be when they work together toward something great. In 1979, the Giza complex was named a UNESCO World Heritage Site. This means it is protected as a treasure that belongs to all of humanity. In 2007, when the new 7 wonders of the world were chosen by a global vote, the Great Pyramid was given a special honorary place because it is the only surviving wonder from the original ancient list. Today, the pyramids of Giza are among the most visited ancient sites in the world. Millions of people come every year. They come from every country and every culture. They stand where Napoleon stood. They stand where the ancient Greeks stood. They look up at the same stones that have been standing since before the Bible was written, before Rome was founded, before the first Chinese dynasty began. They are older than almost everything we know, and they are still here. And so, my friend, the story of the pyramids comes gently to its end. The ancient Egyptians believed that if you built something strong enough and beautiful enough, it could last forever. They were almost right. The pyramids have not lasted forever, but they have lasted longer than anything else human beings have ever built. 4,500 years, and they are still standing. They were built by ordinary people, not by gods, not by magic, by human hands. Thousands of hands, cutting stone, dragging it across the sand, lifting it into the sky, block by block, day by day, year by year, for 20 years. And you, my friend, you are building something too. Every time you listen to a story in English, every time you understand a new word or follow a new sentence, you are placing another block. You cannot see the full shape yet. You are still somewhere near the base, but the pyramid is rising. Slowly, quietly, one block at a time. The people who built the pyramids could not see the finished shape when they placed the first stone. They only knew that they would keep working, keep lifting, keep placing one stone on top of another. And one day, the pyramid would touch the sky. Keep building, my friend. Keep listening, keep learning, and never stop reaching higher. This is Storytime English. If the story of the pyramids touched you today, please leave a comment. Tell me, what amazed you most? The size of the stones, the precision of the builders, or the fact that they are still standing after 4,500 years? I would love to hear from you. There are many more stories waiting right here, and I will be here when you come back. Until next time, my friend, take care of yourself and never stop learning.